Wrestling Rumors fans, this is Wrestling Warm Up again for this week, and WrestlingRumors.net is your number one source of wrestling news and rumors. I'm your host tonight, Matt McCool, and I'm joined once again by Adam Daly. What's going on, Adam?
What's going on? What are you guys up to? Matt?
Ready for all tonight? Lots of news right now in wrestling. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny stuff going on right now, too. It's like I feel like this is all satire. I feel like this is all the work, but this is going to be fun to get into.
We talked about it over the weekend. Like, it's almost like we don't know what's real or fake anymore. I don't know what to believe.
That's the thing. Half of the stuff that's coming out, and I'm sure we're going to get to a lot of this stuff here in a minute, especially with the Paige, ADR, Charlotte stuff. It's like, I don't know. It's not, listen, tip of the hat to Del Rio, my man Del Rio, but it just all of it seems like a work. Like, I don't, and granted, why should we even care anyway? But if they're going to end up taking it on TV, which we'll get to here in a second, it's just funny, man. I don't know. Don't you feel like sometimes it's just they're leaking stuff out just because it's like, here you go, kids, have fun with it, and then it's not really anything.
And that doesn't happen to make all of us internet people go absolutely crazy insane, and for Total Divas too. I mean, that had a huge part of this, and we'll definitely talk about it. But I want to start with Emma. So WWE announced that Emma has a herniated disc, which is a huge blow for her current program. She just started something with Dana Brooke and Becky Lynch. So your reaction to this, and then where do they go from here in the storyline standpoint?
Ooh, for me, I love Emma. I've always been a fan of Emma. I hated the gimmick when she got pigeonholed with Santino, and I get it. They were trying to groom her to, bring her up, but it just did her no favors when she is as talented as she is. And I think that this is a big blow to her. This is a blow to the women's division, because you want to show that those mid-card women, can hang with the main, the main title picture. I guess women now. So weird saying women and not divas again. WWE brainwashing. But I don't know, man. Obviously Emma, heel soon. Zack Ryder, bro. Sorry, brother. Make sure you take care of her. And this poor Dana. With Dana Brooke now, what do we do with her? Do we send her right back on to NXT?
That's the thing, is she just came up last week. So how can you just take her off TV immediately when she was just introduced? She won her first match on SmackDown. I don't know. I'm really upset about it. I think that Emma has a lot of untapped potential as a heel. I'm happy she's got a new gimmick going. The Santino thing was absolutely horrible. I couldn't even watch her on TV. It was right around the time when I got back into wrestling, and I was like, who is this girl who's like doing this on TV? It's really dumb. It brings her no credibility as an actual performer and a competitor to do that. So I'm happy that she kind of shifted her character. And I hope that Emma just stays on TV and doesn't compete, which I don't know why she can't do that. Maybe there's some legal reasons for that. And then Dana just continues her feud with Becky Lynch, because working with Becky will really help her. Her match with Becky on SmackDown was a little sloppy. I don't know if you saw it. I was not a huge fan of the work. And I'm not a professional, of course, but it just looked like they were a little off. Maybe she's just getting used to the main roster.
I'm not the biggest Dana Brooke fan, so yeah, trust me, you're not going to get, and it's nothing against it. Listen, she works hard, I get it, but I think she's more the muscle she always needs to be more of the brawn than the brains, and I know that sounds bad. No, screw it. They want to be equal to men now. Now we can say that about women. Who cares? Yeah, Dana Brooke's the brawn. She's never going to be the brains of the operation, damn it. No, I just think that she's not as polished. Working with Emma and Becky Lynch, where she was going to get a little bit of both. Because Emma's a very underrated worker, I think. So I think this is really going to stunt her progress, because as a standalone, she doesn't do anything for me. I feel like she needs someone, unless we might get that fill-in that nobody wants, because there's one person that could take Emma's spot right now in the roster, and you know what? I already see that look on your face. Go ahead, Mr. McCool. You may go.
All red everything.
All read everything all day. So maybe do we see Eva Marie come up, and now Dana Brooke kind of be her muscle? There's nothing against Dana Brooke. I respect everything that she does, but she just doesn't do anything for me right now, in any fashion. I'm very indifferent on her. What about you, Matt?
I love her as her look. When she debuted, I was really excited about her. I kind of, and look, don't, shoot me IWC. I kind of saw, and if she would polish her wrestling a little, I kind of saw a little bit of Trish Stratus in her. Just the whole total package, being athletic, having the character to go with it, the blonde, the big everything. And she does have she's very good at acting. She's good at her character, and she's definitely improved in the ring since she debuted. I agree that is she the most standout wrestler? Absolutely not. There's plenty of women, Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, Bayley, that are better. But then again, she never was an independent wrestler. She just started wrestling in WWE. So I think that we have to judge guys and girls like Baron Corbin and Dana Brooke differently than we can judge people like Sami Zayn and Sasha Banks and definitely Becky Lynch, who have had a lot of independent experience. Is definitely a lot different, but I think she could develop into a very, very significant part of the women's division going forward.
And I think it depends on what WWE's expectations for Dana Brooke were too, because, they might not look at her as somebody, and granted, listen, anybody can rise to the top and be at the top of the mountain, but they may have never looked at her as that role. They might look at her for the next 1 to 2 years as that. And if that's the case, then you can bring, like I said, and I know everybody cringes, but just the thought of Eva Marie coming up, but she could be perfect for to help get Eva Marie over even more and really get herself over in the process. Then, again, maybe I hate saying this, but, get me invested one way or the other, whether I like it or I dislike it. I just don't want to be kind of indifferent, about her. But, I think but getting back to Emma though, huge blow to the Divas division, especially when we were about to see her potentially in a championship feud, or at least feeling like she was going to be in a championship feud, because, a feud with Becky Lynch right now makes it feel like it's almost a championship feud, because Becky Lynch, to me, is still, I think, stealing the women's division on a nightly basis without Sasha around.
I totally agree with you. And their name is actually END, Emma and Dana. So you could just do Eva and Dana. It would work. So you can say, oh, I have a friend named Eva Marie that I met in NXT, and they could easily throw that right in there. Or like I said, they could keep Emma on TV. I doubt they do that. They're very weird about health and injuries and stuff. They don't want to, get sued at all. So makes sense. I'm definitely disappointed for Emma, though. I think that she definitely could have been in line for a championship match, either her or Paige. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But moving on, so Seth Rollins is supposed to return on June 6th, and I am excited about it. I'm a huge Seth Rollins guy. I think that over the last year, even before when he was champion, he was the best wrestler and providing the most consistent performances on a night-by-night basis every single week for them, from a character standpoint, wrestling standpoint for sure. So I'm excited for him to come back. I think he'll go right for the title. What do you think Seth Rollins does, and what impact does he make when he comes back?
Listen, I'm a huge Rollins mark, so it's going to be a bad scene whenever his music hits. I think, you know what, before we get into anything, Matt, I want to get your opinion. Does he come back, new music, new look, new gear, everything?
I like his music personally. I like his gear. I don't think he really needs new music or new gear. I think he could just change his personality a little bit. And we talked about this on the show before, like the whole old heel and face dynamic. A lot more of the characters are more in the gray area than they are heel or face. You can kind of put them in those little categories, but they do things that are good, and they also do things that are bad, just like people that are, just like us. I think Sam said that a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I think that with everything he was saying with rebuild, redesign, reclaim, I think we could also say repackage. And I mean that in a good way. Like, listen, when Triple H went from the old school Triple H music to when he had Motorhead, little differences. So something still just as heavy. Probably went out and maybe grabbed something by one of his favorite bands. I expect Rollins' return to be, dude, and you know this, we've talked about this off camera a million times, up close to where Triple H's return was. I mean, it might not be at that level, but like you said, Rollins was probably the best, the most entertaining. It was Seth Rollins and New Day were really the two most entertaining facets of wrestling throughout all of 2015, and probably a little bit before. And it's going to be hard for them to keep fans not behind him. So I think he's going to be in a gray area for a minute. I know there's talks of a Shield reunion. I don't know if he goes straight into a championship feud though. I still think that we don't see him maybe in a title picture till around next WrestleMania. Maybe he wins the Royal Rumble this year. Because does he really necessarily need to? I think there's a feud with Triple H that we still need to see. Maybe we still need to see him, maybe he gets his match with Reigns, but I don't think he gets the title right away. I think now it's more of, because there's so many people anticipating Seth Rollins coming back, which I wouldn't be surprised if we see him a couple weeks sooner, and I'll give you my theory on that in a little bit. But I think in a way we want to see him chase the title now. Now it's our guy to see him chase the title. Like when little kids always had to watch their favorite little wrestlers chase the title. Now all of a sudden they're gonna position us to wait for Seth Rollins' payoff. I don't know, or do you think they might give him the title back a little sooner?
I want to talk about the whole character thing first. I think if he comes back and his dynamic with the Authority is similar, there's no way he changes his gimmick. But if he's going to be a whole new Seth Rollins, then he comes back completely new. I don't necessarily think he needs to come back like that. I think you could come back with the same music, just a different attitude. But I also wouldn't hate it if the gimmick works. But I'm not going to know that till he comes back, of course. I just don't see how the champion who loses a title by injury doesn't come back and say, this is my title. I know that Triple H, and there's definitely a few coming for that for SummerSlam, maybe Triple H costs him the title in a title match at Battleground or Money in the Bank or something like that. But I definitely think we could see Rollins a few weeks earlier and see Rollins insert himself definitely right in that title picture because, like I said, he didn't lose his title. He was injured. So I don't know why he would come back and just kind of forget about that. That'd be kind of a really weird booking decision from their standpoint. I know we want the payoff, but you can have the payoff later, even though Rollins would still get his opportunity when he came back.
You know what? Shane recently on Raw, though, has said that nobody's given a rematch. Everything is earned. And that's the strange thing now is you would think, okay, we get an automatic rematch, especially for a guy who, like you said, did not lose the championship. My thing is I don't want them to rush him right back into the title picture when there's so many other fun little things we could do with Seth Rollins until, and just think, insert him in Money in the Bank. And then whoever screws him out of Money in the Bank, there's his first feud. Boom. And then, I'd love to see Rollins Jericho, a babyface Seth Rollins, the heel, Chris Jericho. I would absolutely love that right now. And I don't know. I think there's a lot, maybe, there's a lot of things we could do with Rollins right now. Do you think he comes back June 6th, or do you think there might have been more to John Cena's tweet, he's been Mr. Cryptic Tweet lately? And he's been kind of giving us a little teases and hints. And so tip of the hat to him, to John Cena. But he did say something about how Seth Rollins, everybody underestimates how well he recovers. Then he hashtagged it GG, which to me means good game. Like they made a good game out of it, or a game out of it, who could come back first. So do we see Rollins a week early, maybe the day after Extreme Rules, so that way he beats Cena by a week and it's still in sweeps month?
I think that Cena coming back is a big deal, obviously, and having him back on Memorial Day is significant. Cena is obviously going to come back, and he obviously helps with the ratings, but Rollins is different. When Rollins comes back, I think the company kind of wants this to be a huge surprise. I doubt that they would release his return date and kind of hint at it being June 6th and have him just come out. Obviously, people will be excited about it, but I think the surprise factor is a lot better, and I would like to see him maybe just come out and get involved in that championship match and just lay everybody out in the ring maybe, or come out the next night, kind of surprise a lot of people. And I think you said this to me or to us in messaging or something, that maybe we see Rollins come back and attack Cena. And that's kind of a feud. And I also want to say that I'm a Seth Rollins guy. I do not want Seth Rollins win Money in the Bank. I don't think it's necessary. Having him in the match is significant, but I think at this point he's above that. And there's other guys that deserve it a lot more. Not that deserve it, but could use it a lot more than he would, like Cesaro, like Kevin Owens, like Bray Wyatt. And Rollins doesn't need that to kind of give him his title match.
Totally agree. That's why I would like to see him in the match, because it's a good first match for him to be back in, because you're going to have 6, 7, 8 competitors in the ring. He really only has a couple spots that he really have to do. They could protect him. He doesn't have to do anything overly crazy, but at least you're slowly getting him back on TV, slowly working him back in into the system. But then same thing. I do not want him to win Money in the Bank. I would prefer, and listen, when Rollins comes back, understand, guys, it's going to be bad, because it's going to be Mark City with me and Seth Rollins. So it's if you think Jericho and Punk are bad, remember Rollins is the one that's full time. So my fandom is going to be showing. But I think that I would actually prefer for him to win the Royal Rumble, go on to WrestleMania, and kind of have that moment, or get screwed out of that moment. And I know that everybody doesn't like this, but I like the title on Roman Reigns right now. I don't like the Roman Reigns character, but I like not liking the champion. And I know people are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. No, everybody, whether you like it or not, everybody, I think, loves a villain. And in my eyes, Roman Reigns is a villain. And to little kids, he's not, but to us, he is. So in a way, again, I want to keep seeing that chase. And I want the next champion to be Seth Rollins. I absolutely do, but I don't want it to be until next year.
I couldn't agree more. I'm a huge Seth Rollins mark too. I'm going to ditto you in that response. Favorite wrestler before he got injured. Of course, he still is. So I'm very excited for him to come back. I think he's going to make a big impact. And I agree with you about Roman Reigns. I think him as champion provides, it's kind of like a John Cena factor, really, with people. And it's obviously a lot more hate. Maybe not as much now. It was a lot more hate before WrestleMania. But I think that we'll have to see what goes on. I think that a Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose program at WrestleMania, or a Seth Rollins, AJ Styles program, I think Rollins will be in that WrestleMania main event for sure. So we'll definitely have to see who it's against and what happens next. But let's move on to another rumor that Sasha Banks is being kept off TV. And you can see behind me, I'm also a huge Sasha Banks mark, and she's being kept off TV for storyline reasons. So I want to know your reaction to this rumor. I think it's fine. I don't want Sasha Banks in a feud or involved in kind of a dumb matches each week. I'd like to see her every once in a while, but there's definitely a plan to have her win the title at SummerSlam or be a huge factor, going forward. So I don't want to have them just give her a feud that doesn't make any sense for her.
I totally agree, and I look at it this way. Right now, Sasha is so over, she doesn't even have to be on TV for us to constantly talk about her or want her to be there. Emma wasn't quite there yet, but look at the injury bug. And I don't want to say that, well, just don't compete because then if you don't wrestle, you can't get injured. I understand injuries happen, but guys, if we're pushing Sasha Banks, who I think is coping with some injuries too, I believe, Matt, is that what they're talking about? Just kind of.
You might be banged up a little bit, but I think it's more for storyline reasons.
Okay. So I'm totally cool with and this goes back to things I've said before. I'm okay with them leaving talent off of television for a month. Sometimes not only one, because it gives them, gives their bodies time to heal, just repair. This is there is no off season for these men and women, and two, Matt, I think a good point with this is absence makes the heart grow fonder. Look at how much now we're just begging for Sasha Banks to come back. Like, can't believe this could be the second straight pay-per-view where she doesn't have a match, and what's she doing and what are they doing with her? And it just helps build this, build her momentum that really didn't even need built anymore, So I'm okay with it. I mean, I think it helps she's established. Let's get some of these other women established and quit involving the men in the women's storylines.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. I mean, we looked at WrestleMania, and she was basically kept off TV for a lot of the fall into the summer because of this plan, and she had one of the loudest reactions at WrestleMania. She's always going to be over. People love Sasha Banks, so I don't really think this is a big issue. And this is coming from, again, a big Sasha Banks mark. I'm not going to sit here and, of course, I want to see her on TV, but I'm not going to whine. It helps develop the whole division. And when you keep your top dog off TV, she'll come back and still get the big reaction, but then when she comes back, you have girls like Dana Brooke and Emma, not anymore, but they're going to be developed and kind of in that picture as well. So we have a bunch of women that can compete for the title, which is valuable, which they haven't had in a very long time, maybe since like 2004, the Victoria, Lita, Trish Stratus days. So, and the next rumor I want to talk about is Paige and Alberto Del Rio. And apparently they're dating, which infuriated myself because I'm not a huge Del Rio fan. It doesn't seem like Paige's guy at all. So when I saw this at work last week, I almost gritted my teeth. I was really upset.
I love that we're talking about this, just because, number one, I don't even still believe that it's true, because it's funny. Like, we talked about this, nor do I really don't. Listen, first off, ADR, if all this love triangle stuff with you, Charlotte, and Paige, and Vince wants to use it on TV and whatever, hey, more power to you, brother. If you're oozing machismo in the utmost of ways, I like that you broke on that one, but yeah, you know what? It's just funny though that this is what we've come to in a way that this is news to us. It's shocking, it's whatever, but because we wouldn't. Maybe it's just the odd couple. Maybe that's why it's news. Is that why we're all so shocked about it? Is Del Rio and Paige just seem like the odd couple? I don't know.
If Paige was dating Dolph Ziggler, it would be okay, cool. But Del Rio, it's kind of like an awkward thing with them, and I just wouldn't think. I thought maybe you said that he was married. That she, likes guys a little bit younger than him. The kiss they had at Walt Disney World was honestly really, really fake looking. He was half smiling. They could have been together, just like what Dolph Ziggler and Lana went to Disney World together when they were doing the storyline. I don't know if it's real either. It could just be for Total Divas. It could be kind of a storyline for the show. I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they're dating. It's one of those things where it's who knows?
Yeah, you know what? You're on the road. I think a lot of people don't realize they're on the road so much that, listen, people date each other in workplaces all the time. That's why I don't see why we're so shocked when it happens in the wrestling world. And we're like, oh my God, can you believe they're dating? Yeah, they're with each other constantly. Why the hell wouldn't they be dating? You know what? It's just funny because I think that at times we forget that they're humans too, man. It's so hard to live a normal life in that world because, again, the constant travel, and it's to understand, I guess, the day-to-day struggles that they, but none of these relationships ever last. If this is even a real relationship, I still don't even think. It's none of obviously my business or anything, but is one half of the internet's first couple. If it's true, tip of the hat to Mr. Del Rio, who pointed me and Sam out of a crowd in Pittsburgh one time and winked at us. So C. Hey,
if he's dating Paige, good for him. But I agree. I don't know if this is real or not. I don't know if they're going to acknowledge it on TV.
But it is a little rough that he looks like her dad, though.
Yeah. I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat for them, that's fine. But I think I'm not surprised that wrestlers are dating. Of course, they're on the road 300 days a year, and the only people that can understand their schedule and their passion in their life is their coworkers and their women and men. So things happen, I guess.
Now, let me ask this real quick before we move on, Matt. Do you think if they end up bringing this, and of course they won't talk about the relationship on screen, but if they end up going with Paige versus Charlotte, like, because I read something somewhere, and it's a couple different places that, this is stuff Vince likes to do. He likes to pit if there's legitimate heat in real life, put them in a match against each other, put them in a program. It really, pops off on TV. Is this one that you would mess with? Or, would you, the fans have kind of been wanting Paige back in a championship picture. Okay, Charlotte's still a champion, but is this the way we want Paige back in the title picture just because of accident of love triangle that we weren't even really supposed to know about?
Who is left on that, I guess, that side? I know there's no heels and faces anymore, but I think that putting Paige against Charlotte, even without this, makes sense because she hasn't been in the title picture for a long time. She's been out of the main storyline, really not involved on WWE TV very much on a week-to-week basis, at least consistently. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and if it can make both women perform better, if it's going to cause more heat, I'm fine with it. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah, I hope they don't address any of the dating rumors that are going around though, because I think there's a lot of comparisons being made to Matt Hardy, Edge, and Lita, that whole thing. I think it's much different because when that happened, it was a big time fallout. I think Matt and Lita were established as a couple, and it was just surprising. And then it went legit reality where Matt Hardy was cutting his own promos, not with any company, just on his own website and stuff. I believe it was the Hardy show or the Matt Hardy show or something like that. Not that I used to watch and keep up with Matt Hardy during those times or anything, but I think that's why it worked and it was so real at that time. Please, WWE, don't try to recreate something that probably ain't that bad, That's the only thing. I would love to see an on-screen feud. Just don't bring Del Rio into it. Or I don't know. Hell, you know what? If they're bringing Little Nate into it, bring Del Rio into it. Who cares at this point?
I think they only are forced to do it when they're married. Even John Cena and Nikki Bella, they've been dating for years, and they haven't acknowledged that at all. There's been rumors about them doing that, which is fine. And the Edge and Matt Hardy thing is a lot different. Lita and Matt Hardy were dating for a very long time, and Matt Hardy got hurt, and then Edge kind of slipped in there, so it was a little bit different. It's not like kind of a fling, but they do share a small locker room, the women do, so we'll see.
It's going to be interesting, I guess, going forward, but it's, I don't know. Again, this all could be much ado about nothing. And this could be the greatest Total Divas charade that everybody's falling for too, which is but then again, this is why I like where WWE is right now. And I never believe anything. I just like to superimpose Roman Reigns in pictures now to make it seem like he was there just lurking in the background. If you guys haven't seen that picture of Del Rio and Paige and Roman Reigns that I tweeted out, it's on there somewhere. So
that's hilarious. Definitely check that out. But we're going to move on to the Raw 5-point preview. The first topic tonight was obviously about the Usos and the Bullet Club and Roman Reigns and AJ Styles. We saw last week the Bullet Club and the Usos go back and forth. Again, the Bullet Club beat them down on SmackDown. This has been kind of a consistent week-by-week thing, but I think that they've done a good job of spacing this thing out, making each party look strong, and kind of keeping me interested. I said this on the podcast last week, Wrestling Rumors Podcast. I'm the host. I said that, look, it's for the first time in a long time in WWE TV, I really feel like there's actual cliffhangers on TV. There's actual reasons to watch every single week, and it's not just, I think this is going to happen next week. There's going to be 50-50 booking, and this person's going to go over. It's not like that. I don't know what's going to happen next. The whole Stephanie giving the camera a look while Raw was ending last week, that's a huge cliffhanger to what's going to happen next. So I'm happy with this storyline, and I want to know kind of where you see the storyline going and about the cliffhangers on Raw.
I completely agree, and I think that this is something that if people were paying attention to SmackDown last fall, this is what they started doing on SmackDown last fall. And, and again, guys, I don't want to preach and sit here on a soapbox like I watch SmackDown every week. I don't. Some weeks I miss it. Some weeks I just catch certain highlights. I have been watching, on a more consistent basis. But this is something that they've been doing with SmackDown. And I think maybe it was a litmus test to see if it would play out on Raw because – you know what, guys? Your hardcore fans are going to watch SmackDown more, and Raw is absolutely your casual fan show because it's the headline show. But like you said, you want to give people a reason to tune in that next week. I don't like when they end on Roman Reigns standing strong in the middle of the ring with the Usos, or the bad example because this has actually been an exciting storyline. Anytime John Cena was in the main event in like a six-man tag match, and it felt like a house show. Any of those main events to Raw, I hate those kind of Raw finishes because it's just like, all right, whatever, which we'll probably get on Memorial Day because we tend to get those on holiday shows. But I don't know. I think that you constantly want to give people reason to tune in that next week, or go to WWE.com and see the Michael Cole interview of the week, or make sure you tune in to SmackDown. Or what they did with NXT this week, how they went over in NXT Portland and went with Facebook Live and showed the brawl after the Samoa Joe Finn Balor fight. I mean, that's, to me, the little things that they're doing like that are showing that they're far ahead of the game. And I think we're just not catching up to it yet. I love it. I think it's brilliant. What about you?
I absolutely love it. And again, like I said, for the first time in a long time, I've noticed them doing these little things that make watching every week, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, it makes it interesting. It's like a real show. Like if a bad guy or something from Gotham does something there. And Gotham, for example. So Adam got me into Gotham, and I powered through it in like 2 or 3 weeks. And recently, no spoiler alert, a lot of the villains have been introduced at the very end. So next week, that villain is going to be involved in the episode. And now WWE is using similar tactics, and I absolutely love it.
If you look at all the shows that have really caught on in the past 10 years, Dexter, Breaking Bad, Walking Dead. Those are three big ones off the top of I was a huge Dexter fan. A lot of you out there are probably Breaking Bad fans. Walking Dead is huge right now. It's huge, I tell you. But when you look at all these shows, they constantly end on, number one, they do not care about the fans. And when I say that, they will hurt your feelings because it's their job to get emotion out of you. Listen, wrestling is part drama, part comedy, part entertainment, part excitement. We forget the drama part. And in drama comes heartbreak. We're not supposed to always like what's done. And we're also supposed to, they want to put us in a position, like you said, Matt, to constantly guess, like any other show. We want those cliffhangers. Oh, my God. So that we're talking all week about it, racking our brains so that when the next week comes, there's that anticipation. There's that thirst to find out what happens. I think it's when they've realized they are a live-action comic book. They realize that they know that there's no trying to hide it where the days of the big brawny men win the matches. No, guys, this is just it's all story. Matches come second in WWE, and because again, it's the entertainment company. I think if you're talking New Japan Pro, if we're talking other organizations, different story. But when it comes to WWE, I think the focal point does have to be on the story. So cliffhangers, twists, turns, and I even like when they leave little they like plant little seeds, then they go back to it 6 months later. They've done a lot of that. I know people haven't liked it. It hasn't seemed as smooth as, it hasn't gone as smoothly as it could have, but again, it feels exciting again. I don't know. I guess there's excitement in not knowing what's next. You know what I mean, Matt?
Of course I do, and that was the whole point of the podcast I did last week, was the fact that look at how far we've come the last few years. I mean, think about where we were last year. Think about where we were 2 years ago with even just the IC title or the Women's Championship or the main title. Like, they've come so far in what they've done from a storyline perspective, from wrestlers, from consistency. And look, are they perfect? Absolutely not. There's still things that make me like, okay, what are they doing? Like, why are they doing it? But we're not going to love every single thing each week. For people to, if you're going to judge it and you don't want to watch it and it's too boring for you, then don't watch wrestling, because you're not going to be satisfied every single week, especially with a writing staff that has to write so much TV, including a reality show every single week. We can't expect them to be 100% on their game. Is there certain things like not pushing a guy like Cesaro, or, forgetting about certain things in the story and just kind of going like this to us and thinking we forget about it? Of course, that's frustrating, but they can't be perfect, and there's only so much time on TV for them to write. And there's so many storylines they can only write, so it'll stick with our heads. If we have every single person involved in a bunch of different things each week, we're gonna forget about it. So we have to kind of give them a little credit sometimes. It's unfortunate.
If you look at what they're doing now compared to and really 2010, 2009, 2008, go watch some of those Raws and now watch Raw today. Yeah, it might not be perfect, guys. Yeah, there might be, but it is a hell of a lot better than what it was back then. And I think that we're getting back to I know a lot of people don't like the fact that we have to tie in storylines because it's professional wrestling, but guys, we have to go storyline heavy first. It's World Wrestling Entertainment now. Again, live action comic book. We go to the movies. We pay money in the movies knowing that the cheesy bubblegum good guys are always going to win. We kind of have to expect that in this world too.
And there's NXT still has great storylines, but if you want to be predominantly wrestling, go watch NXT. They have that product for you now. So It's not like – and WWE's wrestling is still quality. Of course it is. I think, again, another thing about WWE is that last week I noticed like for 3 matches were quality matches, quality wrestling matches that I actually was entertained. It wasn't a match I've seen before. The booking, the wrestling each week, I give a lot of credit to the guys and girls backstage for stepping their game up and for, the powers that be to booking the right way and kind of listening to the fans. It's kind of funny that we know they could have done this whole Shane New Era style thing in the winter, but maybe the plan the whole time was saying, hey, after 32, after we get through the Roman Reigns thing, we're going to start to, change the main event, add more main eventers, change the storylines up, make it like a new era. Maybe this was the plan all along. I don't think it was, but it makes sense that it could be.
I think it was the plan all along, only because, with them, you're going WrestleMania to WrestleMania. Originally, WrestleMania 32 was labeled One Last Ride. So we don't know what was originally on the table. They're 6 months to a year ahead of time on where they want to be when, they have their storyline arcs. So I honestly do think that this is exactly what they wanted. Now, injuries and stuff, those are coming into play, and they're working around those and writing around those. But I absolutely think that this was the scheme all along, man.
Well, and we tend to forget that their main plan for 31 was to get Roman Reigns over, and it didn't happen. So, of course, they're going to do that again. And also that John Cena is supposed to face Undertaker, and the Shield were maybe supposed to have a triple threat. And then we were maybe going to get Rock versus Triple H, and that didn't happen for booking reasons. So there's a lot of things that got involved with their stories at WrestleMania 32. And I was very critical about the build. I thought the build was not very good, and we're not really talking about Mania tonight, but the build was not that good in my opinion. The show, I was there. It was obviously a lot better, the fact that I was there versus watching it on TV. But I think now we are definitely in a new era, and I'm just happy where we're at in terms of WWE TV. Very happy. And I said this in the fall. Look, we're a lot better than we were with Daniel Bryan. I know people love Daniel Bryan, but that WrestleMania 30 was not very good in my opinion. That September Raw was not very good. Even afterwards, the Evolution versus the Shield was a cool storyline, but other than that, it kind of felt like the same WWE. It actually feels like now they're doing things they haven't done in a very long time, and it makes TV very compelling.
And I think the big thing, too, is that, it doesn't seem like they understood, and we had to understand, guys, that we delayed it a year, whether I agree or disagree with it. We delayed the Roman Reigns effect happening for a year, but there comes a time where they got to go with a plan. They got to stick to a plan and not deviate from that, only because, if they're waiting every year to appease the old days of the top heel versus the top babyface meeting in WrestleMania are over. And the main reason in that is that storyline planning is written so far ahead of time. It's damn near impossible to tell, okay, we need to start booking WrestleMania. It's September. Who's hot now might not be hot in January. You know what I mean? In August or whatever. So it's not like the old days, guys. This is definitely a new era. I mean, we've said this for years now, and it even goes back to, and I know, not to bring them up, but I guess we have to talk about it once a thing if we're talking about everybody else. But, when CM Punk should have had WrestleMania 27. But I think to me, WrestleMania 27 showed that with The Miz being in the main event, that the company was changing then and was already changing. And listen, guys, I'm a big Punk fan. But at that time, Miz had more crossover appeal than CM Punk did, only because he was in reality TV. It was a rags to riches story of somebody that shouldn't have been there and blah, blah, blah. So there was more cross-promotion appeal and marketing behind The Miz. Did he deserve it in the old school manner? Absolutely not. But in today's entertainment WWE, I think that's why we got The Miz versus Cena that year, and we should have seen the writing on the wall then. Now that we've accepted it, and now that we haven't tried to halt the machine, I think that it seems to be going a little bit better. I think we just got in the way, Matt. I don't know. Like, what do you think? Like, constantly, pushing for Punk and cheering for Punk and cheering for Bryan and kind of just demanding Punk back and Bryan back and them two that can't just be the champions. It's like that's all we wanted in the IWC was like for them two to just constantly wrestle, and like that's it. It was gonna be like them two versus the world, I guess, right? But it seems like now that they're sticking to their guns, they're telling their stories. It seems more entertaining, even if we don't get what we want, guys. It's a show. Like I always want Joker to kill Batman, but he's never going to. Nor should he, because without Batman, there would be no Joker, and there would be no Joker without Batman.
I think there's a line. There's a line between this guy deserves a push where it was Daniel Bryan. Of course, CM Punk did. I'm also a big CM Punk guy, and I believe wholeheartedly he should have had the main event of WrestleMania 27 for sure. He should have been the main event of WrestleMania 29. He should have been a triple threat. I believe that. But CM Punk and Daniel Bryan were never going to wrestle one-on-one for the longest time. The company would have never done that. What about Orton? What about Cena? What about The Miz? What about everybody else that was involved at that time? That was never going to happen. I think the Roman Reigns thing was unfortunate. I think that if he wouldn't have gotten hurt and he would have been able to go through Triple H that year, it would have been a lot different. I doubt people would have been that upset. And they also screwed up the fact that they put Bryan in the Rumble and he had no chance of winning. That is really why Roman Reigns was booed. Yeah, he wasn't ready, and I don't think he was necessarily ready at that point. He did lose a lot of in-ring time and a lot of time on the mic. He apparently took acting classes and stuff like that. I was happy. I was the most happy guy in the world when Seth Rollins cashed in, of course, because he was the most ready to have the title. And that's fine. We have to understand there's still plans to go along. The company still sees Roman Reigns as a guy that can cross over, a guy that's good. It's a good rep for the company. He's got the size, a look. He can appeal to the kids, the women, and maybe the other people our age, like the kind of 25 to 35 big wrestling fans. But they also understand that John Cena didn't appeal to us either, and it still made them a lot of money. So that I think the fans, when they chant and the crowd revolts, there's good and there's bad. I remember in Brooklyn last year when they were having I think it was Miss TV with all the divas, and all they could chant was "We want Sasha." And I love Sasha, but that's not necessary. You don't need to do that. There's definitely a line between chanting for somebody that deserves a push when the company won't hear it, like the Cesaro section thing earlier this year. But then there's some times where it's like, guys, come on, like really stop.
And you know what, and Matt, another reason why I like that they haven't been putting people like, say, okay, when Daniel Bryan got hurt, we knew he was going to get an instant rematch. Or, Seth Rollins, we would think that he would get an instant, immediate rematch whenever he comes back. But I liked it, and I liked that they addressed it, and they said, listen, that was the old way. The new way, you have to earn your spot. It doesn't matter how you lose it. And I do like that because, again, like not to tie this back into Rollins, it's how predictable is it if Seth Rollins comes back and he's immediately going for the title? We're going back to that old predictability that we don't want. Even if it's if it's a one-off where somebody loses the championship, I'm okay with them not getting a rematch. And I know that, well, you should always get a rematch. Not necessarily, because what if somebody else comes in? I like that there's this added unpredictability. There is no guaranteed rematches. There is no guaranteed alliances. There is no guaranteed babyface or heel. There's just basically, it's like watching the show Lost. And again, yeah, I ripped this line from CM Punk in a Bill Simmons interview from right after he cut the pipe bomb thing. But, again, and not to beat a dead horse, but he said every episode should always leave you wanting more, wondering kind of what's going on. And even if at the end, if the strings don't tie up and you don't like it, it's all about the ride more than anything else. And I've been enjoying the rides lately, so.
I couldn't agree more. I've been enjoying everything not everything, but I'm wholeheartedly enjoying programming a lot more than I have. Maybe ever since I came back to watching wrestling a few years ago. I think that it's awesome right now. I absolutely hated Hell in a Cell because Hell in a Cell was basically just rematches from Night of Champions, and I can't stand that. There's no reason for that. There's no reason why we couldn't. And I was saying this around that time. There's no reason why we couldn't have a number one contendership. The champion doesn't always need to get a rematch. I think that clause is good sometimes, but it's not always good. I think that after Payback, there was a lot of unfinished business between Natalya and Charlotte and AJ Styles and Roman Reigns where it feels like the rematches are warranted and we want to see more. It's not like, oh, Nikki Bella lost her title even though she defended her title for years. Why should she have another rematch? There was a lot of rematches that made no sense. I'm just using Hell in a Cell as an example, but this is kind of a thing the company's done for a long time. And I'm happy that hopefully moving forward we don't get that constant knee-jerk, okay, champion loses, champion gets a rematch, or vice versa.
right? Because how many times have we all looked stupid over the past year saying, okay, well, it's obviously going to be a 3-month program. They'll probably do one match and they go to the next match. And then it's like, oh, wait. But then we complain, wait, why'd they stop it after 2? Why did they, but it goes on to bigger and better things. And that's the fun of it, guys. Like, I love being wrong. Anytime we do a prediction show, if I'm wrong on all my predictions, I just sit there and laugh and think, damn, this is a good show. Because not that I'm an expert, I'm usually wrong with my predictions anyway, but I think that it adds that layer of excitement when you really have no idea, when you're trying to put yourself in their mindset, like, okay, they'll probably go this direction. Oh man, they really got me all with this. WrestleMania was key. I think WrestleMania really showed they have their finger on the internet pulse right now, and we're a core fan base, and they're going to just start playing us like fiddles any chance that they get.
And I'm fine with that. I mean, I was at Mania, and I was wearing Sasha gear, AJ Styles gloves, and New Day socks. And they all lost. Every single one of them lost. And I thought they would all win. I was like, okay, AJ Styles is definitely going to win against Jericho. And he didn't. Even you guys had like a house prediction thing, and your daughter beat you and Sam in prediction. It was hilarious. I'm happy to see that there's that unpredictability back in the WWE's product. We don't know what's going to happen next, which is great.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I know a lot of people, I don't know how you couldn't like that though. You know what I mean? Because I get that everybody wants to be an expert. I get that everybody, and I'm talking to like all of us as fans, not any, but it's just for me, even, and if any Gotham spoilers out there, like, listen, like, guys, we got to take it for what it's worth and just enjoy it. Like, as far as Gotham goes, my favorite character already got killed off. So what I was supposed to do, just stop watching the show? No, I just thought, wow, what a crazy storyline arc like to throw in there, and I just kept enjoying the show and kept moving on. Why can't we do that with wrestling? And again, but I think we're starting to. I don't know, Matt, have you noticed the resistance really isn't there as much anymore? And I don't even think the Roman Reigns resistance. I think people are starting to get what they're doing now. They kind of see the model, and the criticism hasn't been there as much. I don't feel like. I don't know. What do you think?
I think his reaction's improved. I was tweeting last week with a few people and looking at conversations, and of course you're going to get your, oh, Raw was boring, this is ridiculous, bad writing, come on. But that was a lot higher in March and February. I think there's always going to be cynics out there, and kind of a thing that I like to say about WWE is if you aren't entertained, don't want to watch, you're going to constantly complain, and just don't watch it. It's not for you. And I think that your example of Gotham is great. My favorite wrestler was out. He got out with a torn knee, Seth Rollins, in November. And I wasn't just going to stop watching wrestling altogether because Rollins is out. I'm going to say, you know what? This could be the start of the Roman Reigns era. We got the Divas Revolution. There's so many other things I can watch in wrestling that make me happy, that make me want to watch each week. So I got really into the New Day. I was excited about that. Not that they replaced Rollins or anything, but you just need to kind of – I think WWE fans need to be a little bit more a little easier on them at times and kind of just see how it goes. And I'm even guilty of sometimes like, oh, I want Enzo and all winter. I was like, Enzo and Cass have to debut. They have to come out for Mania. It just makes sense. But then when they came out on Monday Night Raw, the day after Mania, I was there. It was insane. The roof blew up. And now I understood why they didn't do that for Mania. It's kind of like if you're going to visit a city and you don't see that city yet and you go to a rest stop in that state and you're like, oh, this state's really horrible. I don't want to be in this state. This rest stop's awful. This guy's really weird. And then you get to your vacation spot. You're like, wow, this is pretty nice. You don't know what's ahead of you yet, so don't judge it right now.
Perfect example I'll give to that before we move on to, because we got to talk at least about Jericho and Ambrose. But the perfect thing is, since Pittsburgh got voted best cheesesteak in the state over Philadelphia, by the way, whenever you come to Pittsburgh, you'll see we'll get on 376, we'll go towards the Fort Pitt tunnels. It doesn't look beautiful, but then as soon as you come through those tunnels, boom, the city of Pittsburgh hits you. It's just there. It's gorgeous. It just hugs you. It embraces you. And then we can have the best cheesesteak in Pennsylvania.
I'm going to kind of look beyond that. I will believe it when I taste it. I'm excited to come visit you more than I'm excited to, go get the best cheesesteak, because I highly doubt that's the best cheesesteak. I'll tell you that right now. It's probably not true. We'll definitely have to see. But like you said, we should move on to the 5-point preview. So the next topic is about Jericho and Ambrose. Last week, Ambrose destroyed Jericho's jacket. It was kind of funny. It was kind of really a weird way to end Raw, in my opinion. And then apparently on SmackDown, I didn't see this on SmackDown, but Jericho kind of came out and attacked Ambrose and kind of put him down, kind of show that he's still in the rivalry and kind of back and forth style thing. I don't know what we're going to see tonight, but I do like this rivalry. I've said this before. It feels like Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. Of course, guys, it's not going to be the same. Ambrose can't throw Jericho through a TV. It's not going to happen. It's TV PG now. But I think this rivalry does have a little bit more juice in it than just ending after Payback, and I'm happy they kept it going.
I like that they put Ambrose in a straitjacket just because it ties in with the whole Ambrose Asylum. And let's face it, guys. I know that. Listen, I know, guys. I do a lot of Joker references, but come on? They're obviously Ambrose is WWE's Joker, the Ambrose Asylum, Arkham Asylum. Come on, guys. I think we've all figured this out now. So the whole straitjacket thing was, I loved it, and I think Jericho and Ambrose right now have probably been the highlight of most shows recently. See, I shouldn't say that either because, again, AJ Styles and Roman Reigns have been putting on – again, look at how many good things we have going on. I want to see more – I want to see more of the same tonight. I think we find out tonight what their Extreme Rules match is going to be. What do you think, Matt? You think we find out tonight, or do we hold off another week on that?
I mean, Extreme Rules is Sunday, so I would think they would let us know this week what's going on.
That's right.
It could just be a regular match. They don't have every single match at Extreme Rules and Extreme Rules match. I also want to bring something up that in the 5-point preview, they referenced Big Cass's name again towards the end of that description. So maybe we see Big Cass versus Chris Jericho actually tonight. I would have much rather preferred Ambrose or Jericho to come down and kind of do that whole spot after they had a little bit of a match to kind of see what Cass has rather than just kind of saying he's in the main event, hyping it up, and then not having him wrestle. And maybe that was because they're going to wrestle this week and that was the plan. I don't know for sure. But it kind of was a really weird way to end Raw.
Yeah, I'll admit that. I thought we'd at least get to see some sort of trade-off with Jericho and Cass, only because it seems like they're really high up on him. And I thought Cass really had a coming-out party of his own. Listen, let's face it. Enzo is the charisma in that tag team. And, I mean, he's probably one of the most charismatic, intelligent dudes in that locker room. Now, that being said, Cass just came into his own, though. He's in the ring with a future Hall of Famer Chris Jericho. Confidence, confidence just glowing off of him. I mean, you could tell that it seemed like he felt main event. He felt like a main event guy. I wanted to see it in the ring, though, like you said. And I'm not a big proponent that Raw matches matter as much. I would have liked to have seen them go back and forth a little bit, though. To me, it seemed a little – I could have used that little extra.
I mean, he did have the opening segment, and I think that he did very well. Of course, when you see a guy like Enzo, you want to see Enzo wrestle. How is Enzo going to wrestle? He's a talker. And how is Cass going to talk on the mic? And I thought that he did a very good job. He seemed maybe a little bit nervous. I know his interview was spot on later in the night. I just wish we could have seen something from him, but hey, maybe we see that tonight. But I guess let's move on to the next 5-point preview topic. This is the New Day and the Vaudevillains. The Vaudevillains Aiden English beat Kofi Kingston on SmackDown on Thursday. They stole a match from the New Day on Monday. Kind of build them up a little bit. They didn't win the number one contenderships. They didn't have that really big win. So I kind of understand why they're building them up. I think this feud is perfect. They're kind of a perfect back and forth. Even before Enzo got injured, we all thought that they were a better fit for this tag team title match because they needed it more and because they'd be a perfect, David to the New Day's Goliath, I guess.
Yeah, just someone good to – and right now what's good about New Day, though, is that why they're so valuable is that they're intelligent enough to really spin off of anybody. The Vaudevillains work so well because they're that 1800s, old school fighter like this kind of deal, But if it was Enzo and Cass too, no matter really who they go with right now, I do think that New Day is the perfect team to not only help these other young tag teams out, but show them how to make it on your own. Promote yourself. This is something that Simon Gotch does so well. Simon Gotch is incredible on Twitter. I mean, he really, and Aiden English is as well, but Simon Gotch is one that really sticks out to me because he's so funny on Twitter, just the things that he does. But again, I think this is just really, like you said, it's making the Vaudevillains look, adding depth to the Vaudevillains. I don't want to say make them look strong because I know we're starting to overuse that now, but it's adding depth to the Vaudevillains. But I think New Day, as far as this goes, is going to hold on to the titles.
Of course. It doesn't feel like it's time for that team to kind of take down the New Day. I think their face run as fan favorites is going to continue maybe into the summer. I don't think that the company's ready, especially because they sold the most merchandise WrestleMania weekend, which when I found out about that, I was really surprised. I thought it would be maybe AJ Styles, maybe Bellas. New Day are very popular, of course, but I was having them sell the most merchandise at Mania weekend with everybody else. It kind of gives a company a good barometer where they are in terms of popularity, especially with the hardcore fans who always love New Day. But now that they're on that side, they're appealing to everybody. The Budios thing is hilarious. They could do that for years and years and years, and I would still be entertained by it. And I think the Vaudevillains, again, are perfect opponents for the New Day. And I do love their finishing move, the rolling dervish, I think it's called. Yes. It's very smooth, and I think they're starting to look, I don't want to say this again, but a lot stronger against the New Day. I think the New Day definitely retains, but I think the Vaudevillains definitely get another shot at this title into Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I can see that because I think anything that they had planned for Enzo and Cass, and again, guys, we don't know if, because all the speculation was maybe the Dudley Boys interfere. And then Enzo and Cass go and have a feud with the Dudley Boys while the Vaudevillains move on with New Day. Remember, we kind of all maybe thought that was in the works. So, this might be something that just got put on hold for a month. Maybe they just had to hit pause just for a second for Enzo to get cleared. I don't know if it's still that 30-day thing, which it looks like that's the case with concussions. But that's good, though, guys. We need that because we don't – before anybody flips out, the 30-day rule is an excellent rule to have in there. So, because imagine, once again, when Enzo comes out, the crowd pop that he's going to get. So it's one of those, I think, that just got put on hold. I agree with you, Matt. I think that the Vaudevillains, this does carry over. So, you don't think there's any chance, even the slimmest of chances, that they get the titles for just 1 month? I don't. I personally don't, but
I really don't think so. The fact that New Day have had the titles since SummerSlam, they're going to maybe slowly approach the record. They can talk about how they've been champions for a year, even before SummerSlam. But I think SummerSlam's a little bit later than it was last year, later in the month. So they'll be champions for a year if they hold it till SummerSlam. So, that's pretty significant. That never happens in today's tag team division. At least champions that we care about. I think the Usos might have done that once, but they're not even remotely in the same universe as the New Day in terms of popularity and being featured in main event segments and featured over and over again in terms of a team. But I don't think there's any chance that they win. And again, I love Enzo, and would I love to see Enzo on my TV every single week? Of course. But I think that I take a step back, and I want to see Enzo more on Raw for the next 10 years, not the next year. I don't want him to come back early and do something again that's crazy and get another concussion, because you keep getting concussions in WWE, like Corey Graves found out, it's going to end your career pretty soon because of all the lawsuits and because just that, they can't put guys out there that have that brain injury because it's that much more of a risk from a lawsuit perspective for their own health. Daniel Bryan's had 10 to 12, and that was an easy call from them because, look, we don't want to injure this guy and have this guy have amnesia or, get CTE moving on into his next life. So I don't want to see Enzo Amore have the same kind of fate, and he is so valuable. I think the 30-day rule is tough, especially when they were so over, but then it gives you a chance to kind of build Cass as a single star, and then when Enzo comes back, like you said, the pop's going to be crazy.
Yeah, the pop will be huge. And I think that, listen, guys, I know we don't like, and this goes across sports everywhere we go, but let's look at all of the, from the 80s and 90s, let's look at how many talents we've lost, okay, young, and where that we could attribute to a lot of things, but a lot of it probably has to do with headshots. And concussions and coming back too quick because that's the tough thing to do because men and women and you're tough. You just go in and play or you work with a concussion. No, guys, if you got to take care of your noggin, man. If you don't take care of your noggin, everything else kind of goes astray. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, man. If anything, we should be praising, WWE's wellness policy when it comes to concussions. So, yeah, you're right. It sucks, but that pop when he comes back. We're going to have a month full of huge pops. You realize that with Cena, with Rollins, probably with Bray, with Enzo, Orton potentially. We have a lot of big pops coming this month.
And not to forget Finn Balor and Bayley, who might be up eventually in the summer. So there's a lot of big pops ahead for sure. And I want to say something that might be a little bit controversial, I guess. Not like bad or anything, but there's an incident that happened a few years ago where something happened in WWE and a wrestler wasn't around anymore, and that was directly because of concussions. 100%. It wasn't because of steroids. It was concussions, period. So they need to be careful not only for their own product and for legal reasons, but for the health and the safety of their families and themselves moving on. But I want to go back to go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just real quick on that. That's the perfect example, and I agree 100% because it's a PR nightmare. Because if you look at everything that's been going on, let's look at current events just real quick, and whether it's China, whether it's all these other people, it's brain injuries, it's CTE, it's concussions, and it's drugs that they got put on that typically were side effects from concussions. And listen, it's that rabbit hole that I hate to go down. But again, this is why awareness is so important. And yeah, Matt, kudos to you. You hit it on the head.
Yeah, it's obvious, and there's the whole thing when it came out was, oh my god, steroids. No. I thought it was too because I didn't know. But then watching Concussion, or I think it was League of Denial about the NFL, the constant ramming of your head, you're going to be messed up in the brain. His brain was like 82 years old when they did the autopsy. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But I think we kind of beat the subject dead in the head. So I want to go back to Dana Brooke really fast because I missed something on my notes that it says at the end, and this was the fourth thing of the 5-point preview, that Dana Brooke might need help. So I know that you said Eva Marie, but are you still going to stand by that prediction that Eva's going to align with Dana Brooke?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Only because I don't know if they want Dana Brooke to be disliked. I don't want to say heel. They want her to be disliked. They want her to have some sort of partner in crime. Who better than Ava Marie? And I know there's a lot of Ava haters, but listen, she would get Dana Brooke over. It would be unreal. And I know it's saying like, wait, Ava Marie can't get anybody over. You're wrong, because Ava Marie is the equivalent of, she is the female Roman Reigns. Love her or hate her, she gets that reaction that they're looking for. So it's at a point where I'm starting to become an Ava Marie fan because I like bad girls, I guess, so much. I can't even say heel now. You're villains. I don't know. What do you think, Matt? Do you think it's Eva Marie, or do you think it might be somebody else?
I don't think there's anybody they have in their corner right now that would make as big of an impact. And I think that Eva Marie would get Dana Brooke over more as a heel than Emma would, because Eva Marie is more hated. People at least like Emma and respect her as a performer, but people hate Eva Marie. And of course, is she annoying? Is her boyfriend annoying? They're insufferable sometimes, but that's a reaction they want us to feel about Eva Marie and what happens and watching her on TV. And she doesn't even have to wrestle very much. It could be Dana versus Emma. She can wrestle every once in a while, and but she is at least competent enough to wrestle on Raw at this point. At least competent enough. She's comparable to Summer Rae. Is she great? Absolutely not. But I think that she'd be a seamless transition and seamless person to put in this feud. Who else is ready? Nia Jax just debuted on WWE TV. There's nobody else down there that would work. So it just doesn't make sense for me to bring anybody else up, another person up, when you have Trinity, Naomi, and Tamina, and Emma that are all hurt on that side of the card. There's nobody else that you could bring up that it would make that much sense than Eva Marie. Not bring up, kind of put her in the storyline.
And especially if you want that crowd response too, because I mean, you could bring anybody else up, but your casual fan's not going to get it, or they're not going to care. I think at least with Eva Marie, you have instant heat. Listen, they want her on the main roster anyway. She does sell. I mean, and the thing is, guys, that she made WWE more money last year than like certain superstars that you would think. Big time people that we really like a Bray Wyatt, for example, which seems insane, but it's just the way it is. It's just the way each talent is marketed. So we're gonna have to deal with her eventually. Unfortunately, the time might be now.
And that's okay. It'll be compelling TV because she's going to get booed out of the building, and it's going to get Dana Brooke over even more than Emma. I really believe that, and I love Emma. But, again, the factor that Eva is just more disliked. And if you want her to be disliked, then putting her with the most disliked female, one of the most disliked people in the company from a fan perspective, especially from us, then it just makes sense.
And you know what? Talk about right place, right time. Not to cut you off, Matt, but this might be right place, right time for Eva Marie. A lot of times, guys, and I'm not saying, listen, Cena, a lot of his career, I'm not saying the man didn't work hard, but it was right place, right time. Same person you spoke of earlier that had an incident with his family. Let's face it, it got instantly watered down to TV PG, and we got Super Cena because of that situation. They had to tone it down so much. Super bubblegum, boom, John Cena was your man. But Eva Marie is going to get time. Again, timing is everything. This could put her on a faster track. This could get her over quicker. And unfortunately, she might reap the benefits of everything that Emma has sowed. So we'll leave it at that.
I absolutely agree with you. I really do. I think that this could be the right time for her to kind of take advantage of injuries. Injuries happen. And it was like Dana Brooke. I mean, the fact that Naomi and Tamina, they were both injured, that's why she was brought up. And this happens all the time. It is what it is. It's a sport. There's real injuries. There's real things that happen. Things change. So you have to adapt, and the company might have to adapt by giving Eva Marie that spot, which I think would work. And the final thing on the 5-point preview is the debut of the Shining Stars of the Caribbean. Primo and Epico are back as a new kind of Caribbean gimmick. I think that anything is better than what they had before. I couldn't stand watching the Bull guys on TV. I can't remember their name right now. Los Matadores, I couldn't stand watching them at live events. I'm just not a fan. It didn't work for me at all. This is better. But they have to bring Carlito back. The name was Caribbean Cool for the 5-point preview. It could be just a giant tease, but I would love to see Carlito back as the head of the stable. He did some things he regretted in his late WWE tenure, but he sold merchandise. He was entertaining when he was on TV, and I think he would work even in this PG era.
I think Carlito would be awesome, and if they had like just a triple or a trio stable, so to speak, 3 of them. But you know what? At least we're getting something different out of Primo. And I don't know how I feel about this gimmick. I still feel like they're trying to sell me. They're still trying to sell me a timeshare. I haven't really figured out what's going on yet. I hope the Zika virus isn't involved, right? Is that in Puerto Rico right now, the Zika virus, or no, that's somewhere else? I don't know. I guess I'm staying just open-minded with this just to see where they actually go. Because if this is going to be another, just rehash stereotype of an ethnic background, then I don't know if I could probably do without it. But it can't be any worse than make Darren Young great again. So whatever, give it to us, WWE. Just give it to me.
I'm always down to evaluate and see fresh things on TV. I like when things are new. The Darren Young thing probably won't work. I don't know. At least it's new, and I haven't seen Bob Backlund on TV, obviously, in a very long time. I just think the Caribbean – I love when characters in WWE – I think the most successful characters are characters that are an extension of their personalities. And obviously maybe these guys are really big into their culture, and maybe they thought, hey, we'll just put this with them. That's fine. But there needs to be kind of a plan for it. And I think that Sam said it best a few weeks ago. She's like, I really thought for a few weeks that I was watching a hotel commercial. And I realized 2 weeks later it was actually a vignette for Primo and Epico. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's well, because especially for people like us, admittedly, guys, we watch Gotham first, then we fast forward, and we do it so we can fast forward through commercials with everything. You guys know that. So if you're fast forwarding through on your DVR, you might miss the vignette. It's one of those where it's just slipped in real quick. But I do like how ridiculously more satirical they're getting the longer they go. They're giving you a little bit, then they just started getting more and more ridiculous. So I do hope there's a layer of cheese just going all over this tag team where they're sarcastic but funny. But there's some tongue-in-cheek wit to them. I hope it's not just hey, there's 2 Puerto Rican dudes. There you go. I'd like for them to have some sort of smug personality towards them, I guess.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that it's with any character with anything like this, it's a function of time. If they give them the time on the mic and they're willing to commit to this new gimmick. And that's a company, and of course they will. But if they give it time and they give it a chance, it could work, just like the New Day or anything they try. But speaking of time, we're running out of time. Raw is about to start in about 10 minutes. I really appreciate you guys joining us again for Wrestling Rumors Warm-Up. Adam, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Real quick, just wanted to say one thing. Everybody look out for the Harley Quinn spinoff movie that they announced that's going to be coming out. Margot Robbie is going to be heading it. So it's going to involve a bunch of the Gotham City Sirens and things like that. And I have to get this out there, not to pick on Philly again, because, again, I hate Pittsburgh. But shout out to your 76ers becoming the first prostitutes in North American sports by putting StubHub on their uniforms in, 2017, 2018, which is going to be a thing. And we sold out. I guess you guys sold out, right?
See, I mean, first of all, I'm not an NBA fan. It's Philadelphia, so it's the Sixers. I thought this would be an NBA league-wide thing. Yeah, we're definitely doing it. I've heard rumors about it for a long time. I think obviously it's happening now.
It is.
When you said the Harley Quinn news, my eyes lit up. I'm so excited about that. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I guess. And with Margot Robbie kind of being, they're all taking on. Affleck's taking his own Batman. I don't know, guys. We're starting something special. But think about this: Harley Quinn's becoming bigger than, and more people are anticipating her movie than people were even thinking about Superman anymore. So, how the mighty have fallen, and maybe it is a women's world now, ladies and gentlemen. So, I don't know. Formation. Go ahead, Bay. And Beyonce is Everyone's following Beyonce, so I'm just going to stay Jay-Z and stay in the back here.
It's a great tie-in for sure, but I can't wait for that. I'm kind of almost now. I'm way more of a DC guy than I'm a Marvel guy. Always have been. So I'm definitely more excited for Suicide Squad than I am for Civil War or Avengers or anything like that. But we appreciate you coming on, Adam. You can follow Adam on Twitter at AdamDaly13. Follow his wife, Sam Daly, at Lady Nexus 13, I think. I'm pretty sure if I got that right. Adam has an awesome show, Wrestling With. It's a comedy show I've been on a few times. Definitely check it out. I think they post everything Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. I'm the host of Wrestling Rumors Podcast. We record and post every single Wednesday, but we have some big news coming out soon that I'll let you guys know as soon as I can. Enjoy Raw and have a phenomenal night.